Hi guys, this is Faizan and welcome to today's session by Great Learning on Introduction to Bootstrap. So before we start, can you guys quickly write yes or no in the chat section if I am audible or not? Quickly guys, while we wait, as I can see others are joining as well. Great Learning has come up with an initiative, the Great Learning Academy. We all know about it, right? Wherein we have 100 plus courses available for free for a limited amount of time. So you guys can check it and register yourself. After the completion of your course, you will get a certification that you can add up into your resumes or into your LinkedIn profiles. Okay, great. I can see some yeses. So now let's get started. So today's session is all about Bootstrap. So basically, what is a Bootstrap? We are going to cover that, all those things, all the mystery behind this Bootstrap. Is it difficult? Everything, right? So great. So now, what is the table of content? What are the things that we are going to cover in this session? Is what is a Bootstrap? History of Bootstrap, versions. Right now we are on version. What version we are on right now? So how to include Bootstrap, adding files, why are those files necessary, containers, buttons, typography, utilities, badges, and grid system. So I know this is I'm covering basic parts, including the grid system, which is most important in Bootstrap, but you will get the idea how to include other things as well. Okay, so this session all alone is sufficient for you to understand Bootstrap. Okay, and then rest is up to you. Whatever is the requirement of your website or whatever you're trying to build, you can build upon it. Okay, great. So now let's start. What is a Bootstrap? So if you are familiar with CSS, right? CSS is nothing but cascading style sheets, right? If you have a structure, let's suppose you have some structure. How do you get that structure? With the help of HTML, right? So you have a structure, that is the structure of a web page. You have that. Now you apply some styles on it. So now applying those styles is CSS. Basically, you are applying some styles. Now this Bootstrap does all the things for you. Okay, so basically you just have to add some links here and there, then it will do the same thing which you are doing. So basically it makes your code, it makes your work much easy, simple, and responsive. What do you mean by responsive? Well, suppose that you are trying to access some websites, right? And you are trying to minimize it, then maximize it, and then let's suppose you are opening it on a mobile phone, right? And now next time you are trying to open it up in a tab, and next time that you are trying to open up it in a laptop, right, or desktop system with a huge maybe who can you guys hear me? Hello, quickly, just guys, can you give me confirmation that if I'm audible or not? Yes, no, maybe. If I'm, just give me a quick yes. Okay, I can see some comments. Please make session on jQuery. Yes, we will. Don't worry, Venkatesh. So quickly guys, just give me one small little confirmation in the chat section if I'm audible or not. Yes, great. So where was I? So basically the application will be opened up in different devices, right? So in order to make it visible for you, and in order to get the whole content, you need your website to be responsive, right? You need to have a responsive website. Great. So now you can build an web development application, right? It can be it can be an application that you can store it on the internet. It can be a mobile application, right? Now what is something that you should already know before entering into Bootstrap? Just a basic idea. So the things that you should know is basic level of introductory session on HTML. That's it, right? And then some CSS. You should be able to know some CSS. One session or maybe a reading of 2-3 hours will be sufficient. Then a little bit of JavaScript, although that won't be included in your Bootstrap, but yeah, you need to include some JavaScript files. I will tell you why, and that is not important as such for now, but yeah, we will include some JavaScript files as well. So now this is the most important or popular framework right now we have when you talk about styling. Okay, so for styling, this Bootstrap is used, and it is used for creating interfaces, right? User interfaces, right? Basically what you do with CSS, you can do it with Bootstrap and vice versa. Okay, but it reduces your effort and time. Okay, so this is what is a Bootstrap? Is nothing but a framework, okay, of CSS. That's it. Okay, so a little bit of history. It was developed in what, in 2014, right? Open source product in August 2011, sorry. By it was developed by developers of Twitter, Mark Otto and Jacob Thornton. So in 2014, it was the #1 project on GitHub. So this is when it started. Okay, Abhi, it's okay if you are in 9th class. It's okay, you can go through it. There's nothing. You will see that there is nothing, some drastic knowledge that you should already know about HTML or CSS. It's just simple things. Okay, knowing where to get and what to get. Okay, so now this is the brief history of it. Okay, now let's see versions. So right now we are the latest version of Bootstrap is 4.5. okay, and we are going to work upon it. Okay, so basically when one version comes from 1 to 2, version 1 to 2, and then we have the series in it. So 1 to 2, there's a lot of difference, but internally within 2, that is 2.1, 2.0, 2.1, then 2.2.1, that there's not a large difference. If you have name some similar frame, you have foundation, you have utility, I guess utility is there as well. Okay, so but within all those frameworks, the most important is Bootstrap. Okay, semantics is also there. So there are a lot of CSS frameworks available. Okay, but Bootstrap is much more simpler and it's very easy and very popular as well. Okay, so right now then we have version 3, and in 4 you have different 4.0, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4. so there's not a huge difference between this 4.1 and 4.4. so if you have some application that is running on 4.3, that can easily be run in 4.5. okay, so people are saying what is a framework. So framework is nothing that let's suppose, okay, let me put it in a most naive way. So if you have something that is let's suppose, okay, great. So can we use Bootstrap in React Native? Yes, you can. Okay, so basically React is a framework of JavaScript. There's nothing that is not related to Bootstrap. And let's suppose, let me put it in a naive way for you guys. If you go to the school, right, you have to follow the rules, right? You have to follow those rules. But in framework, the most naive definition, or if you talk about more complex definition of a framework, is that the flow of your program will not be on you. It is not how you do it. It is basically, if you have to do some task, it will do it for you, right? If you have to do some task, it will do it for you. You don't have to get into the knowledge how it does it. Okay, that is basically a framework. There is no the flow of the program is not up to you. It is up to the framework, and that is how it's done. Okay, so you just have to include something, and that rest of the things will be taken care by that thing. Okay, you don't have to get into how it does or how it actually works inside. Okay, right? So okay, can we use 2 versions of Bootstrap together including CDNs of both? Yes, you can. Okay, so now these are all the versions. Okay, and now let's get started with the next thing. Now, how do you include Bootstrap? So basically, there are 2 ways to include a Bootstrap. Basically, if you download a link and then you put that link in the same folder where your CSS file is, including the HTML file as well, and then just like you add external CSS to your files, you just add that file externally to your document, HTML document, and that's it. Okay, now that is something that you should do. People who just want their work completed. Okay, what is a Bootstrap? Bootstrap is, Deepak Pia says, what is a Bootstrap? Bootstrap is nothing but a CSS framework, which just like if you have some idea with CSS, it works in a similar fashion. Okay, Bootstrap, they are not real programmers, they are coders. Am I right? Bootstrap, you can say it. Okay, so now the next thing that I am going to use is much more easier and simpler, but it is recommended for you if you are trying to build some application. Rather go for downloading the file and putting it in the same folder location. Why? The reason is that maybe sometimes the server is down, or that won't happen, but a hypothetical situation that that link is not available, that you're trying to access from the internet, that link might have changed, the URL might get changed, so at that time your CSS will not be there. So it's better that you put that file in your own local system and then add it externally, just like you do if you apply this external CSS file. All right. And the next thing that you can do is by CDN, the content delivery network, is nothing but if you have created some CSS file, now your friend also wants to use it, so you will put it on the internet, right? You will put it on the internet and you try to include it in just like that, right? You will try to include it in your CS, in your HTML file, just like that. Now this CDNs are hosted by some developer, so that you can use it. He has done all the work, or by a team, let's suppose not by a single developer but a team of developers, they have put it there and you just have to use it. That's it. So that's what a content delivery network means. Okay, so it's simple and it's easier. It's just you have to copy paste the URL and that's it. Okay, it's less faster. Why it's less faster? Obviously you're fetching from the internet, so it will take some time, rather than if it is in your local system, that will take less amount of time, right? So you just have to copy it. It's a hosted version, and add your link to the HTML file. Okay, now let me go ahead and quickly why Bootstrap remove jQuery. So jQuery is nothing. jQuery, has Mahendranath said, I know it is bundle size big, but how Bootstrap replace the jQuery in other way? So basically the things that you used to do. So basically what is a jQuery? jQuery is nothing but a JavaScript framework, right? So the things that you can do with JavaScript can be done by jQuery. Now it has some dependency on CSS, right? So wherein you will fetch your elements from the CSS file with the help of jQuery. But what this Bootstrap does, it does some things for you. Okay, can you show how to download? Yeah, sure. So now what we are going to do, we are going to work upon this thing. So you just open up your this getbootstrap.com. This is the official website of it, and this is the first link that you have. Okay, so now this is the first thing that you have. So now what we are going to do for copy pasting the thing, that we are going to copy this link. Okay, and you just, if you want to download this, just open this reference file here. Okay, this reference, the href tag, the link to this file, just open it and this will be open, right? So now you might be thinking, so what is this? So this is a minified code. What do you mean by minified code? So basically it contains the all the CSS properties, right? But it is in minified form. That means that variables are named named like A, B, C, just like that, small variable names, and there is all the spacing has been removed. Okay, there is nothing into it. So basically if you see, now let's suppose let me just show you some properties that have been used in this. You see here I am highlighting something, that means border color, right? So border color, all the CSS properties have been applied in this file. So it is a minified file. So that's why you see bootstrap.min. Min means that it's a minified version. It takes less amount of space, and all the spaces are removed within the file, and the variable names that you might have used will be A, B, just like that, small variable names. Okay, so this is the file that will be there, and you just have to download it. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I'm just going to copy this URL. Okay, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to open my Sublime. So first I'll save my file. Obviously I'll save it on desktop, and I will be called it bootstrap or boot.html. That's it. Okay, now I'm saving this file. Now what I will do, since I'm using Sublime, I will just maximize it a little bit. I will just increase the font size. So now I will press I will write HTML. Okay, so now this is I press tab, and this is the skeleton that I got. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a title as Bootstrap. That's it. Okay, okay, so now we have this title ready. So now how do you link your CSS file? So now if you have downloaded that file, right, you have that what is the CSS preprocessor. So Mahendra, there is no CSS preprocessor. What are you doing? So basically I'm including my HTML file. That's it. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just I'm going to write link, and therein you have your external CSS. Let's suppose Control N. Put write a new CSS file or make a new CSS file. Let's suppose I'll call it boot.css. Okay, so now you have, if you have downloaded your file, you can either link this boot.css, right? Just like you include your file, your own file, right? This is your own file, boot.css. Let's suppose you have selected the body tag and you have changed its color, the text color property to red. That's it. Now this is how you include your CSS file. Now in case of that which you have downloaded, you have down. Sir, I am unable to understand. What are you unable to understand? Omkar, please repeat yourself. So now we have this file and we have downloaded the previous file, right? The previous CSS file that we just opened, we have downloaded. So we enter that path here. Wherever that wherever you have stored that file, you enter that path here. Okay, that's it. That will act as your CSS file. Okay, so this is how you enter, this is how you include your this file. Okay, now in this case, let me just put it back, Control Y, just a minute. So link tag. Okay, I will go slow, no problem. So yeah, so these are some basic stuff, so that's why I was rushing through it. Okay, so now this is how you include your file. So what do we have? We have boot.css, right? So we save this file and I'm selecting this body tag and I'm changing the color to red. And we have this, let's suppose we are changing this, we are making changes in this paragraph tag wherein I will write lorem and then press a tab. We will get and predefined some content, that is pre-written content we got, and we save this file and let me just run it. So this is my minified version and let me minimize it. Let me open that file for you guys. So it was on desktop and it was called boot. So I have opened it, I guess. Okay, it hasn't opened, so let me open it again. Okay, done. So we have this file, right? So our text is right. This is how you include your CSS file, right? So now once you have downloaded this minified version of the CSS, then you will just include that file in here. Okay, that's it. Just like this boot.css, you will include that file here. But since we are not going to use this kind of a structure, I'm going to directly include CDN. Okay, so now I have this CDN, I copy this CDN. Okay, this is copied and I'll paste it here. Okay, so now CSS has been applied. So let's check it if it runs. Okay, now if you see, this was earlier, and now if you see, now what I get is this content. Okay, this, you see, it is, if you think that this is not the earlier thing that we had, or this is different from the thing if we don't include our CDN. No, it's not hard. I'm just including the CDN. There's nothing to it. There's no hard or anything for hard. Is it hard? It's hard for beginners. No, it is not. So just like I'm just adding this CDN. That's it. So if you remove this, let's remove this file, okay, for now, and save this. So you know these things, right? The title is there, head tag is there, paragraph tag is there, body is there, right? So just save it. Just saved it, and let's run this file. And now you see, this is the original content that I should get, but I have included some CSS. I have included some Bootstrap CDN in it. Okay, so now I will just save it, right? You don't have to get into how it does its things. Okay, you just have to think of this. Now you see, now once I have added, now I will just refresh it. Okay, that's it. Okay, that's it. It will show me this content. Now you see the font family of this is changed. It is not Arial. The text, there is much more spacing between the words, and the words are much more different than what we had earlier. Okay, so now this is how you include your CDN. Okay, so now let me go back to the editor. Okay, I will go slow. So CSS inbuilt classes, we have to remember, it's hard. No, it is not hard. For now, you can just not all the developers across the world who are having experience, maybe of 6 months, 10 or 1 year, they also refer to that getbootstrap.com. So there is no hard and fast hard and fast rule that you have to remember it. It's good to remember, but if you don't, you can always refer to that document. Okay, so you can just remember the class names. Okay, that's it. So you don't have to worry, Vijay, if you don't remember the names. It's okay. Even I don't remember sometime names. It's okay. The names are difficult to remember. Even if you have misplaced the order of these, again there will be a fault in your CSS. What you expect will not you will not be able to get that. It's okay. So you don't have to worry about it. Okay. So now this is the link. This is the CDN link, and the CSS has been applied. Okay. So now this is how you apply your CDN. Okay. So now obviously this will be slower than what we had if we download something. Again, that will be in your local system. So can you show the Sublime text from starting? So I didn't do anything. So I just pressed, let me just okay, Abhi says can you show. So Abhi, what I did, Abhi says from the starting. Okay, let me just remove all of this. Okay, so now let me just remove this file as well. Okay, I will just keep it simple for you, Abhi. Okay, so now I had HTML, right? I pressed tab. I have saved this file in HTML format. Now in the title I pressed Bootstrap. Okay, okay, I have pressed Bootstrap. That's it, and I saved this file. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one paragraph tag. Okay, p tag. And in that p tag, what I'm going to do, I'm going to write some content. Okay, lorem ipsum, that you will get with the help of tab, pressing a tab. Now I saved this file. Okay, now I will run this file. This is my file, and I will just reload. So this is the content that I will get without any CSS. But now I want to add that CSS, but I don't want to write that CDN. I don't want to write that CSS. So what I'm going to use, I'm going to use CDN. That is the content delivery net, the hoisted link of CSS file that I haven't written, that is written by someone else. Okay, so which is that file? I will go into bootstrap.com, get started in bootstrap.com. That is the file, that is the website name, and I will copy that CDN and I will just paste it after the in the head section. Therein this is the way where how you add your CSS files, right? In the head section. If you don't have any idea with CSS, I just took before this session I took a session on CSS as well as on the HTML. So go through those sessions, HTML session, CSS session, then this Bootstrap will follow along. Okay, so this is the link, and I will save this. Now if you see, I will just refresh this Bootstrap, and you see the title is Bootstrap. Now if I refresh this page, you see earlier the text is written in this format. Now I will just refresh this page and I will get this format. So this means that I have my CSS, I have my Bootstrap in place. Okay. Is there any performance enhance when you use CSS or SCSS? No. So basically it between if you talk about the difference between CSS and Bootstrap is nothing, but it is much more easy to write. It is much more faster. So performance wise, it is maybe I can say that performance wise CSS is better, but if you want to save time, if you want to do it efficiently and without wasting any further time, you can go for Bootstrap. Okay, so it's a good to have. So right, so now okay, my OBS is down. Okay, just a minute. So you guys can hear me, right? So this is the these are the three script files that I included from the CDN. So now let's see what are the components that require these JavaScript. So there are alerts, buttons are there, cursor is there, drop downs, models, navbar, tooltips, scroll spy. These are all the files that require JavaScript. So for simplicity, and I don't want to get some error which I don't know, I will include these files. Okay, now if you see, if I will run this, I save this file and I will just run that file again. If you see that I didn't get any changes here, I will just refresh the screen. Okay, now you see I don't get any changes here, right? It's the text that was earlier, it is the same, right? Because I haven't used any components yet. So that's why the content is same as it was earlier. Okay, so now we are done with this thing, right? So what files do we need to include? Okay, now let's go back to our slides and study some more things. Okay, so now we have included our files. Now what files did we add? We added a Bootstrap file and just JavaScript files. Okay, right? So if you see the extension of these files is JS, right? .js, right? and some of these are written bootstrap.minified version of JS and popper.js. So popper, so including this CDN link is must. So including this CDN link is must. Yes, Kunal. So the first one wherein you have all your CSS applied, the first link which you applied in your head element, that is necessary. And for rest of the elements, if you want, if some of them have some of the components that we include have dependency on JavaScript, you need to be on the safer side and include these script files as well. Okay, that's it. So now let's see about the first component, or it's a self-contained component. That means it's a standalone component wherein we will just contain and center our elements, center the content. Padding is there. Padding means spacing between the content and the border, and it contains all the things. So it acts as a container, and we'll see how it works. Okay, so now let's go back to our first to our document and refer to it. So this is how you do it. Okay. So now the first component is what? It is in the content and maybe in the layouts. Yeah. So in layouts we have these components. What is called container. So if you see the definition of this, is the container is the most basic layout element in Bootstrap and are required when you are using default grid system. We will learn what is a grid system at the end of this session, and it is very good to very conceptual topic. Okay, so for now you can observe this container as a, so in Bootstrap we just use links and do things. Please answer yes, others. You just have to include links and that's it, and you can you can customize those links as well, but for now we're keeping it simple and seeing what you want to know. So basically what else you can do, you can do each and everything what you can do with CSS, and obviously now you can understand so the pain that you face, or the problems that you face doing something on your own, and then just by having a link and you can include it, right? So it's much more easier, and it's time efficient, right? So you can add this container, right? It is having a class. So now all the things that we include are with the selector, the ID, that we are not going to use IDs, we are not going to use what? We are not going to use any IDs, we are not going to use elements, or we are not going to select elements. We are just using class names, and you know how to include class names, right? So you have a class and then the name of the class, and this class, whatever it contains, whatever the CS property is in this container, we don't care. Literally, we don't care about it. Okay, so that is done by someone else, and we just want to see what it does exactly. So basically, how this container works, it can be nested as if you want, it can be nested as well. Okay, so it will take the maximum weight of each breakpoint. Now what is the breakpoint? I will show you. So now let me first add it into the class. That's it. So now what we are going to use, we are just going to copy this thing and putting it put everything inside this container in my this file. So excluding the scripts, right? It won't matter if we include it anyways. Okay, so what we do, let me just paste it here, the container. And now, so how can we access this container? Because we have already included the CDN, right? So now let me close this div, and our div is closed. Okay, so now our div is placed, and now let's save this file. Okay, so now if you see, and let me just put a heading as well in here so that it looks beautiful. Okay, so h1, and let's say what, Bootstrap. Let's save this file and let's run this file. Okay, so you see text is aligned in the center, and there is a spacing padding between the left and the right side. Okay, that's it. So now what we are going to, what about that responsiveness of this? So I told you earlier, Bootstrap is responsive. Let's suppose you are using a tablet. Now let's suppose you are using a big the length of your system is say it is greater than what you expect in your phones to be. So now let me resize it, and now you see how it is responsive, how it makes the changes. So now this is called a breakpoint. This is the large screen, and then it is medium screen, and now this, you see the text got shrinked, right? Now this is the medium, now then we have small. This is what is called responsiveness, and it goes along for all the things, right? If you have something aligned together, it will it will work for them as well. We will go into these things more in depth. Can you use one more CDN? So we can use, but I'm not going to use it right now because there are many more things I want to cover. We are having only 30 minutes. Maybe you can try it later, Kunal, or we can try it at the end. Okay. So now what we are going to do, this is how your container works. So it will take the entire width. Now let's suppose if you take the container fluid, so that is another thing. If you go back into that in your web document and you see container fluid, so it will work in the similar fashion, but the only difference is that it will take the full width of the container, spanning the entire width of the viewport. Okay, so what does this mean? You have to try it out, guys. So that's the way how you learn things. So let me just remove this thing and container fluid. Okay, save this file and run this file. Now you see it will take the entire width. Okay, now it is also responsive. So you see this is how it works. It will still take the entire width, and then although there is a little bit of padding on the left and the right, okay, but less than that than what we had. Okay, so now this is how it works. Okay, so this is about what container, and let's go back to our slides, and this is how you include your container. Okay, so this is important container, as all of the elements, or all of the most important elements that are the components that are there, which is what the grid system, that always works if you have a container. So containers are important, and you should always use containers, and it will help you to align. If you see other websites, let's talk about this website that we had. So you see there are three phases of this website, right? You have the left, you have some tab, the header section is there, right? And always go for this Bootstrap latest version. Okay, so go into the versions and pick the most latest one. So now if you have the latest one is 4.5. Okay, documentation. Okay, so now let's go. Yeah, here we have it, 4.5, right? So this is the latest version. Okay, so now let's go into the documentation and let's continue. So now what we had our container at its place, right? Now let's go on to the next thing, that is buttons. So all the action buttons that you have at the end, right? You have all the action buttons that you have at the end. So wherein you will submit your form, or you have dialogues or anything, right? How do you include it? Just adding a class that is button. And now what is this button, primary, and all those things? Now let's demystify all those things, and let's go straight into the layout and into the components, wherein we will have our first component, that is buttons. Okay, so now if you see, we use buttons for styling actions in the form, dialogues, or to support multiple size of states, right? That is not important. Let's see how our button looks. Okay, so usually when we write a button, so it looks a very simple button. How it looks, let's include it. Okay, how a simple button looks. So what do you write? You write after the, let's write it after in the same container, or let's put it here. Okay, so how do you write it? You will type input type, right? And the name of the type is button, right? Okay, and or the submit, right? The type is submit. Let's suppose we call it submit, and let's name this thing. Name is not important for now, as we are not going into the what the backend part of it. So let's put it button anyway, btn. Okay, and let's name the button as submit, and let's put a content there, that is submit. Okay, let's save this file. Okay, so now let's run this file. Okay, you have your button. Okay, so let's remove this. That's not okay. Let's this is how your button looks like. Okay, right? One second. Yeah, here you have it, your button. So this is our simple button, how it looks like. Now how do you include these buttons that are already present in there? Now what are these? So first thing that you have to do, you have to include what? The class, that is the button class, btn. And now what is this primary? So if you have observed carefully this website that we are on, so the primary color is violet type of a color, right? The secondary color is, which is the secondary color that you will be using once you toggle between the tabs, right? And then if you have to represent something that has been done successfully, so you will have a green kind of a button, right? Then something, if it doesn't work out, then you have red type of a button. And warning signs, you will have yellow, and then info, then light button. You see this light button, then dark button, then link. That looks like a link, but it is. So if you have this link, right? So what you will do, you have, if you see, if it looks like a link, but it is not a link. It's basically this button that we have applied which a class, that is btn hyphen link. Okay, so now how do you include these files? Let's suppose we pick two files, right? And we pasted it in our website and in our html file, and we put it here. So now let's look at these files. Okay, so we have a button wherein we have btn and we have applied primary. Okay, and same goes for this secondary. Okay, now let's save this file, and now let's just run this file. Okay, yeah, so now you see you have two buttons, which are obviously, this button looks much more attractive than this button that we have, right? So these are two ways, and we have in the same fashion, we have how many ways? We have 8 ways, right? 3, 3, 9, and we have 9 ways to include a button. And all the different buttons mean different there is different you have to include these files. Okay, so for a button, now this is not it, right? So you have different tags as well, the anchor tags, right? Wherein you will add button primary, and it will be having some color that is blue, obviously, which was earlier that the primary button, the primary and the secondary and the success, the color of it. Okay, so now what you are going to do, you can add links, right? And then you have to add these things. Now we can also have some outlines as well. Okay, so let's see how it's different from the earlier one. Okay, so let's pick these two files and let's drop them here, and now let's paste them here. Okay, paste them here, and let's put it here and here. So now let's save this file, and now let's run this file. Okay, so now you just see, so the outline of this is blue, right? And the text inside it changes when I hover over it. So all these CSS, this hover, this coloring, the change of this color when I scroll over it or hover over it. Okay, so all of these things are Lemine says, for web development at least you must know HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Yes, so all of these things are applied here in Bootstrap. So yes, you should know it. It's good to have. Okay, so now what we will do, and we have done with this outline as well. Okay, so this is another type of that you enter. You will write btn, the class name, and then btn outline, and then the primary color, that is this primary, secondary and danger. All these colors will remain as it is. Okay, so these are always there. Warning, info. Okay, now the sizes. Now you can increase the size of your button, right? How you increase the size of your button? Simply by adding the class and then adding btn primary and then button btn large. So this is how you magnify your buttons, and you just have to just include these files in your, just to see the difference. That's it. So now it is all up to the requirements that you guys are having. Okay, so now let's save this file, let's go back in a browser and let's run this. You see, these are all the buttons that we have in here. Okay, now let's scroll back and let me just put it here as container, not a fluid. I don't want to use, I want it just a little bit centered. so that everything is at one place. Okay, so now let's save this file. So you have all these buttons, and you just have to be careful about what you are trying to include. So you have these buttons. Okay, are there any other CDNs too? No, there is no great learning. Okay, so what do we have, and what else do we have in here in Bootstrap in buttons? So you have small, you have activate button. You can disable buttons as well by including the attribute disabled. Okay, that's it. So the button will be disabled. So similarly, if you have something, when you clicked on it and after the next click you don't want that button to be there, you want it to be disabled, so you can add those things, you can customize those things as well. Okay, so this is all about button component. Now let's go back to our typography. So now what you have, earlier what we used to have, you used to have some headings, right? H1 tags, the body tag is there, the list tag is there. So you can change the properties of that pre-existing text as well. So how do you change those texts? So basically you just go into that heading tag and add a class, right? You see, just like I have added a class display here, so that will magnify whatever is in your heading tag. Okay, so let me just put it for you, and let me just show you how this tag works. So it is in our layout. We just go into our layout and we go into utilities, and therein you have your display. Here you have it. Okay, so now what a typography does, basically it will add it will change the global setting of already pre-existing tags. So we don't need to just copy query according to the choice. Do we need to? Yes, you can copy that, and you can also customize it. So typography, yes. So basically the whatever are the pre-written text, right? So you have there something heading, body, list, so you can change them as well. So the global setting will be changed. What else coming? What we have in global settings? That is the font family, the font size, right? All those things will change. The background color, you can change them. Okay. So now if you see, if you just add a heading class to it, a heading class h1 to it, it will change the heading tag. Or you can customize your heading tag just by adding this thing. And you see, you have a heading tag, then you have customized some portion of it by using a class called text muting, text muted. So what does this mean? That it will fade and then the part that is written in this element. Okay, so that's it. So whatever is written in this small will change it. Okay. So in display heading, what it does, it will just increase the size, it increases the font size and changes the font family as well. You just have to include it. That's it. So if you just use this thing, and let me just show you the Bootstrap, and then the next thing that we included a display in it. So you see how it changed from this Bootstrap. We are adding it in the same, and let me change this as well, and so that you can have a difference of how font family and all those things will change. Okay. Okay, so now let's save this file and let's go back and just run it. You see how the font changed from earlier one. So earlier we used to have a normal font, and then we changed its font, and font family has also changed. So this is how what includes in typography. You can add a lead, so lead can be there, inline text can be there. So there are some other utilities as well. Let's suppose you want to add some block, right, in your, so this is the code that is written by someone, let's suppose Shakespeare. This is the code that is written by Shakespeare. What you do, you add this block code, right, that you used to add earlier as well, right? When we talk about HTML, we had this element there as well. But let's suppose you don't include this MB, right? What is this? I will tell you just now, and how it beautifies your code. Okay, so now you have this code, the class block code, and let's remove this code as well. Okay, and now you have this block code, and therein you have some paragraph p tag in it, and you have written it. So now let's save this file and look at it, how it looks without any CSS. So this is the block code that I was talking about. This is your block code, or no, this is your block code, right? So this is your block code. Now I want to add some features to it, maybe the name who has written this block, or anything, right? So what I will do, I will add some block code size in it with the class block code in, and let me just save it and see the difference that it will make. Okay, just by adding this class, and let's save this file. You see now this the text color, the all of these things have changed. Okay, so now what I will do, this MB means margin bottom. So right now we don't have any content below it, so right now we can change it, we can keep it as it is. Okay, so now if you want to margin behind it, so you can do it as well. So let me just go back to this thing. So if you want some margin, what the bottom margin to be increased behind after this block code, you can do it. Okay, so now if I go back into the typography and I want to add the name as a footer in it. So what you will do, you will add the name just like this, the source of this, right? So you will add a class that is footer. In the footer tag you will add the class that is block code footer, and you will then add the name. Okay, that's it. So how do you do it? You will add a class and then you will just close it. Okay, so let me just add this thing here in this. So what I will do, I will add this thing here, and this is written by, let's suppose, what grade learning. Okay, let's save this file, and now let's run this file. Okay, this is the file. So now you see we have this grade learning, that this is the content written by grade learning. Now you see these things are apart, right? So you don't want this space to be in between the code and the one who has written it. Okay, so now for that we can add a class that is what, that MB class, that is margin bottom, and you can put it 0. Okay, that's it. You can just save this file and then go back and run this thing. Okay, so now one thing is missing. Okay, you can add this class, MB is there, just add this class, and that's it. Okay, now we have saved this file, and now once we will run this file, you will get what, now you don't have any space in between the code and the one who has written it. Okay, so these are small things that you can do with the help of typography, including the list unstyling. So you have written a list, right, the unordered list, then therein you have those dots, right? So the bullet sign is there, right? So bullets are there, and if you want to remove those bullets, you can write class list unstyled, so there won't be bullets in it. Okay, this is how it looks. This is how it looks without bullets. Okay, this is an unordered list. It should have the bullet sign, but we have applied the class unlisted on it, so it applied to the class that is under this UL. Okay, the next UL which is inside it, on that it had its bullets. You see this the fallacious sign is there, that will have bullets. Okay, that is inside it, so the outer part will get affected. Okay, so this is how it works. So you can have inline properties as well. So this is all the content that comes into the typography. Similarly, you can have images where you can make responsive images as well. So all of these things, right, are responsive. That means it changes when we change the size of the screen. Okay, so it will act according to the size of the screen. Now you see, if you have this thing and now I minimized it, the size got changed, you see it comes down, although it doesn't look very attractive, but yeah, you can make some changes and make it attractive. So the large buttons are there, usually that won't be there, right? So this is how it works. Okay, so now we have this thing done, and now let's go back and add some more things to it. So this is what typography includes, right? And similarly the list. Now utilities, wherein you will change the border, you can change color, you can change display property, you can change position, size, spacing, and text. So now let's look into those utilities. So you have these utilities as well. So you go into it and go into the border part of it. Now let's see. So you can change the border, right? You see, if this is the image, if I don't know if it is visible for you guys. So you have this border. So you see all around it, you have this some kind of a gray line. That is because of this class border, that the span that you have added, and then you can just change it around. Okay, so you don't want it. You want it only at the top. You write border top. You want it only on the right side. You write border right. Okay. Similarly, all for all the things. Now subtraction is there. So now what does this mean? That you don't want your border to be at the top, so you write this class. Okay, you include this class. If you don't want it on the right, yeah. So similarly, these things happen. Now again, if you want to play around with the color, what are the 9 primitives that you have? So there are secondary, primary, so all those things, right? You added a border class, and in that you added what? The border primary. So now the border of this will be blue, just like earlier, wherein we had those buttons, right? The primary button was blue, the secondary was some kind of a black, then we had success, which was green, then we had red, which was danger. So all those things can be applied in all the properties, if right. So success will be there, danger will be there, so all these nine colors will be there. So now you want to change the border radius. What is the alternative way? How you change the border radius? You go into the CSS property, you change border hyphen radius, and then you give the radius 10%, and it will be rounded at the end. So similarly, you have these images, and you can just add these classes as rounded top, right, rounded right. This is how it looks. Okay, so rounded top, rounded all around, rounded at the right side, at the bottom side. So this is how it looks, rounded, and then circle, right? All those things like a pill, and you don't want any rounded, then it will make it a square. So right, these are all the utilities. Then sizes, right? You have large, you have medium, all those sizes will come into this utility. Okay, utility section. So this is border. How you include your colors? So color is, again, you have these specific colors, right? Again, the text color will be changed with the help of text primary. If you write just dot text primary in anywhere, right? Let's suppose you have this lorem ipsum and you want to change, you will write dot, or let's not change this thing, we will okay. So you just write p in here, and then so what you will do, you will write dot text from the color, okay. So you just have to write text hyphen dark, okay, and press a tab. It will give you one minute. So let me save it and let me just paste it. Okay, so I will pick this color and I will just paragraph, use this in on this. So I have changed this paragraph text color, and the text color is primary. Okay, so now, so whatever is written in this lorem, in this paragraph, will have the text color as primary. Okay, so now let's save this file and let's run this file. So now let's run this file. Now you see the lorem ipsum has turned into blue. Similarly, if you want to add different colors, you can change the thing. Okay, you can just add this. It can be done with the help of style property as well. But why you want to do that if you have something that is done by someone else? Okay, so you can change it to success, right? It will be green, right? Just save this file and then just run it. Okay, just run it, and this is how you change the. Okay, exactly, Pawan. This is very easy. So now this is how you add your text color properties, and this is how you change your color properties, right? So if you want to change the background, then again there is BG color, right? So BG color, and what the color, how many colors do you have? These white, you have primary, you have secondary, you have success. So you see, now if you want to include these colors, and what is this MB2? Can anyone guess? These are the colors that you will have. So let's suppose I copied these two things. Okay, I copied these two things, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to paste it here. Okay, somewhere, let's suppose I will paste it here at the end. I will paste it at the end so that it is visible for you guys. Okay, so now I will paste it here, and now let's see what to do with it. So now what are these things? So you know these things, right? So what is this thing? So you have BG primary, that means the background color will be primary, that is blue, and the text will be inside it will be white, right? So these two things are clear, right, for both these things. Okay, so now let's save this file Now let's see how to include different classes and how it changes. Okay, and now let's see. So now let me refresh it, and you see these are the two things. Okay, so now BG primary is there. Now if I add the margin, the bottom margin, I want the space between the primary and the secondary. So what I will do, I will just include what I will include MB hyphen, and I want a 5 bottom margin to be 5, and MB bottom margin to be 5. Okay, so now what is the margin? The margin is that what do you mean by margin? That is different from P. That P stands for padding, and margin stands for the difference between the elements, right? The difference what is the difference between the first element and the second element? That is in terms of space. Now let me refresh it, and you will see the difference. You see, now there is a margin between the first element and the second element, okay, which is of 5 pixels. Okay, so now this was about margin, and now let me just pad it a little bit. So let me just put a padding, that is text, that's the space between the content and the word and the border. Okay, so padding 3, and or you can put it padding 5. It will look much more, it will be, there will be a lot of space between that. Okay, now let me just save this file, and let me just go through it and run it. Okay, so this, you see, that was margin, that was padding 3, that was all around it. Padding 3 means that 3 from the left, 3 from the top, 3 from the right, and this is padding from all around it. Okay, of 5 pixels, all the sides, right, left, bottom, up. Okay, so this is about coloring, and this is then you have positions, right? You have all those things. Now position, it will be static, it will be relative, all those things, right? So you can go through it. So colors is there, position is there, spacing is there, right? Text is there. So you will change the spacing, right, with the help of M and B. What M stands for margin, P stands for padding. Then you add 0, 1, 2, 3 stands for pixels, right? So you eliminate the margin or padding by setting it to 0. For elimination, you write 0. For writing padding, for or you can add dollar space. By default, it is 1. Okay, you have to write 1. Okay, and it sets the margin to 1. Okay, so for example, this empty -0 means that you are removing the margins from top. Okay. Okay, now there is another thing, the text property. So text property, how you changed it, then you align your text. You can be justified to the center or to the right or to the left, align to the right or align to the left, center. Okay, so these are all the utilities that you have in here. Now let's go into the components and try to see some more components like badge. So badge is there, right? So in badge, if you have seen the notification tab that you have, right, you have your notifications like there. If you have some ad requests as well, right, you have that 1, 2, 3 number on it, right? So what is that? What is that? Basically, it is nothing but you saw border, how to change it, you saw color, how to change it. Now the badges. So you have those badges there, right, wherein you have those numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, that you have 5 friend requests, you have 8 friend requests, right, or you have 8 notifications, 10 notifications. That are basically badges. So for that, it might be on the button, it can be on the anchor, it can be on the tags, anchor tags, it can be on anything, right? So now badges will act like this. So example is heading, then this badge can have numbers in here, right? The example can see it, you can see it. Now you see notifications 4. This will, you can add it directly. Okay, so just copy this thing and add it here. So now people are saying that why someone will pay you for this, right? So basically this is not what they are looking for. Now if you have this badge number, right, you first need to know how you can include this in your HTML in your website, right? Now the question is how you will get it from, how you will get this 4 from the backend. Okay, this is easy stuff, right? So now this thing that adds up, right? Now then you make up some project, right? So these things that you need to know that are on the backend side of it, that will be covered in Node.js part. Okay, so I will show you how to do these things, okay, in the Node.js as well. So now what is this? This is a button, right? The type of this button, and we have included this button class, and the color will be primary, and then we have included a span tag, and in this span tag we have included the badge with light color, badge line and then the number. Okay, the number will represent the notifications. How many notifications do you have? The notifications part is here. Okay, the text is here. So now let's save it and let's go through it. Okay, just a second. So now if we run this thing and now you have this notification wherein you have this 9 notifications or 10 notifications, and right now it is static, right? So these are all the notifications that you can get. Okay, so this is how you get profile, then you change the profile. Now what is this SR? What is this SR? So this is something that is for screen reader. It acts as a screen reader for all the physically impaired guys, right? The guys who can't see properly or who are having some difficulties. For those, this will be read by the screen. Okay, for those guys. Okay, if you include this thing in your file, it cannot be seen by you, but for those it will be read. It will be some message to the this will be something that is inbuilt and it will be read by the devices which can read screen. Okay, so this is how I do it. So profile 9. So now even though you have entered this SR, that is unread messages, if you remove this class, okay, if you remove this class that is SR and then you save this, then there we will have this message there. Okay, that is unread messages. Okay, so for those who can't see properly, for them this is beneficial. Okay, so you just remove it and SR only, so for those screen reader devices. Okay, so this is how you include badges. So now finally we are at the last topic, that is grid system. This is the primary feature of Bootstrap. Every container in the Bootstrap can be divided into 12 columns. Then elements can take out 12 columns. So you have 12 columns, then you have to decide which portion will get which portion. Okay, so even for this websites, even this for website like this, what we have, so you have to decide. So this will be a 3, this column, the search section will be a 3, so this will take 3 units and this will take what, the rest of the units, that are 9. Okay, so this is a division that you do with the help of grid system. Okay, how to physically lay out your content. This is what a grid system is. Okay, so now let's go back into the grid system, and this works only when you are inside the container. Only then you can decide the length and width, or the width and the height of your screen, right? So this is how you can do it. Okay, so you have to add, every content will go inside the class. Okay, so even if you are not writing anything, each and everything you have to write inside the row, that is where your content goes. Okay, so that's why you have this row in here. Okay, so now this class, then column MD equal to, this is a medium, that the size of these things, the units, that hello world will be medium, and this 6 represents the units that you are dividing 6 to those, and 6 to the left, you are dividing it in 2 parts, and both of them will get 6 units. Okay, so now let's quickly go into it and let's see this. Okay, so now let me just why I'm copy pasting these things, because these things are redundant. Okay, so you just don't have to remember it. Okay, so where is this component grid system? It will be in the layout. Here is it. Okay, so how it looks like, this is how it looks. So you are dividing basically into 3 small columns of 3 each. So if you don't specify anything, right, if you don't specify any number, then by default, if you have 3 classes, all of them will take 3 all of them will take 3 units or 4 units, right? We have 12, so you have 3 columns in here, right? This is all the content goes inside the row, and it always works in a container, so you have to include that container which we we learned earlier, right? And then we have call and call. You have 3 columns, so that means your full system will be divided into 4 columns, or the width of your screen will be divided into 4 columns. Okay, so if you don't specify anything. Now if you specify for any one of them, the rest of the columns will have to act accordingly. Like suppose you have 3 columns, column 1, column 2, column 3, you haven't specified anything, then let's suppose you have these 3 columns, the second column you decided to put a 6, right? This will take 6 units, so rest of them have to decide themselves that you will take 3 and I will take 3, and 6 has been taken from this column. Okay, as I specified explicitly that 6 have to be taken by you. So now let me just copy paste it quickly and show you guys how it works. Okay, just let's put it here. Okay, so now you have a class container, in that you have row, Okay, and now you have specified, let me remove these SM small signs as well. So you have this column, I am one of the 3 columns. Okay, and let me just put it here, and then you have this thing, then let me just remove this thing. So we haven't specified any size, right? So this will take 3 size, this will have 4 units, this will have 4 units, this will have 4 units. Okay, so now let me minimize, or let me save this thing and quickly run this thing. Yeah, so now let's refresh it. So you see you have 3 columns right at the bottom. Okay, 1 3, this is one of the 3, one of the 3, one of the 3. Okay, now let me just remove all the other things as well. Okay, so that it is visible for you guys. So we can remove all these things, right? So now we just have container, and we will just remove this thing as well. Now we just have container, and now what we will do, we'll just run this thing. Okay, now you have one of these things. Now what I told you earlier, that if you somehow decided that this column, the middle column, has to, you want it to give 6 units, right? You put a 6 sign, 6 number in it, and you just saved it, and rest of the two components or 2 blocks will decide on their own which who wants to take 3. The both of them have to share 3 units between them. So if I save this file, now you see the difference. You see, you can't see it. Let me just put a background color on it. So how do you do that so that it is visible for you? You just put a BG, then what? Again, I told you the colors, the primary one, the secondary. So I will put primary. Okay, and in this I will put what? BG hyphen success, and in this I will put BG hyphen what? Secondary. Okay, so now let's save this, and let's see how it works. Okay, you see, so now okay, the secondary is something, again, this is one thing that it won't give you any errors. Okay, secondary is not working. Let's put another one, was light there, was, or dark. Okay, let's put dark. Okay, let's save this thing. Okay, yeah. So again, if you haven't included it in the correct way, it will never show you an error. It will just, it won't apply that style. Okay, so this is the dark. So now these 2 columns have decided, the left and the right one have decided that they will take 3 between them, and the middle one will take 6 units. Okay, so this is how your grid system works. Okay, so this is it from this session, guys. I hope you like this session, and I'm concluding this session now as we are out of time. So thanks a lot, guys. So this is it. Okay, if you have any questions, you can just pose them quickly. Yeah, the slide deck will be shared with you guys, don't worry. Okay, all right, guys, I don't see any questions, so thanks a lot, guys.